didn't care what was cool. I've always been a little reckless, wild and free. And the older I get, well, hell, it's easy to see. I'm fucked up in the head and crazy, out on the edge, raise hell time and time again. That's just the way I've always been. And there ain't nothing gonna change me. I'm fucked up in the head and I'm crazy. I've seen the sunset up over Abilene. I stayed up all night long with them girls down in New Orleans. My mom still prays every day for my rambling soul. No matter where I'm at, hell, I'm always on the go. 'Cause I'm fucked up in the head and crazy, out on the edge, raise hell time and time again. That's just the way I've always been. And there ain't nothing gonna change me. I'm fucked up in the head and I'm crazy. Telling y'all for years, there ain't nothing wrong being a guy like me.
The thoughts and ideas expressed in this podcast are solely those of the authors and guests of the podcast. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Soberless Thoughts.
That right there is Sir Alexander Gourlay.
That right there is knighted Sir Michael Odenbeck.
And these are our
Soberless Thoughts.
And tonight we are drinking something that is coming to you straight from the mad mind of Alex Gourlay. I don't know. What is this?
Now, this is this is about as basic as you can get. I was thinking this first cocktail is one that I know we haven't done, and it's just super simple, and it's light, and it's, you know, it's for the summertime. And if you're worried about those calories, and I'm talking about vodka and soda. So I have literally vodka, soda water, lime. It's light, it's crisp, it's refreshing. You could drink a ton of them.
It is the epitome of the summer drink.
Yep. And I'm drinking, just so you know, so I'm representing. I got three olives vodka, 80 proof from, it's imported from Britain. And so, you know, 80 proof, 40% alcohol. So 3 olives vodka. I got ice from the house, and I got a lime from Kroger.
What are you going to call this thing?
Vodka and soda water.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not a name drink. I'm sure it has. It's just vodka soda. Hey man, let me get a vodka soda.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, basically.
Thanks, pal.
Maybe if I was gonna name it something, it'd be can I get a watery V?
Oh,
a WAP. I'm gonna call it a WAP. Yeah, let me get a WAP.
Let me get a WAP. No, dude, a WAP's got to have more tang to it.
Yeah. Have a little bite, makes you do that.
exactly. That's exactly what a wop
Yeah.
tastes like.
But yeah, maybe watery V. That's what I'd do. Bubbly V.
H2O H2V.
Yeah, H2V. There you go.
All right, H2V. Let's give it a taste.
Catch me if you can. The line is in the sand. You better plan to fail. 'Cause boy, you failed the plan. Underestimation is the word of the day. You better tighten up your laces and get ready for a losing game. 'Cause you have no idea what's coming. Stay in your lane, you better keep on running. Run till you realize I'm proving you wrong. And I'll keep stringing you along 'cause I am the man. I'm the wanted man. What you waiting for? Trying to set me with the ball and chain. I am the man. I'm the wanted man. That's hitting our scars and leaving on that one-way train. Better understand, I am the man. The voice is telling lies. It tells me not to try, to take the easy way out and don't get out of line. It's not the path I choose. I surrender to the muse. You surrender to the world, and that's how you're gonna lose. 'Cause you have no idea what's coming. Stay in your lane, you better keep on running. Run till you realize I'm proving you wrong, and I'll keep stringing you along. I am the man. I'm the wanted man. What you waiting for? Trying to set me with the ball and chain. I am the man. I'm the wanted man. That's hitting our scars and leaving on that one-way train. Better understand, I am the man. You better comprehend, I am the man. Yeah, I'm declaring my wars and I'm hitting high scores. You don't even know what's coming, never heard the shit before. Yeah, I'm declaring my wars, hitting high scores. You don't even know what's coming, never heard this shit before. I'm declaring my wars and I'm hitting high scores. You don't even know what's coming, never heard this shit before. I'm declaring my wars, hitting high scores. You don't even know what's coming. I am the man. I'm the wanted man. What you waiting for? Trying to set me with your ball and chain. I am the man. I'm the wanted man. It's hitting our scars and leaving on that one-way train. I am the man.
What'd you guys think?
That was awesome. Super productive.
I thought so. Probably qualifying candidates, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
I thought so too. I had a blast. It's anybody's game. I think we have a lot to discuss.
Indeed.
Let's go get a beer. Let's go get a beer.
5 beers.
Yeah.
How about that? At once.
Yeah, it tastes like vodka.
Yeah.
That's been watered down. with a little hint of lime.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I can already tell. I don't drink these very often, but I might start doing that. Like I feel like I could slam these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta say, if it was Tito's, if anyone's fans of other people's podcasts, which you shouldn't be, you should only listen to ours. But I've recently just got back into Doug Loves Movies, which is Doug Benson's podcast, mainly because honestly during COVID it just wasn't the same. Because the gist of the podcast is he goes to a comedy store or somewhere that has a stage that's usually for stand-up comedy, and he gets like 3 or 4 local comedians. Some are big names, some aren't, and then he basically plays movie trivia games as the host in front of a group of people.
Yeah.
Him being Doug Benson, he smokes a lot of weed, but he always drinks Tito's and soda, and that's always what I think of every time. I'm like, all right, vodka and soda. That's the Doug Benson.
Yeah, but Tito's is tequila, right?
No, it's vodka.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Why do I always think Tito? Oh, because Tito sounds Mexican to me, and that's where tequila is.
Tanatillo. Well, Tito's actually, I think it's in. I actually know a little bit. I researched Tito's a little bit, but it's a normal vodka is made in. I'm going to get way into this. Vodka is normally made in stainless steel column stills, and they basically will just kind of distill the hell out of it like 7, 8, 9, 10 times, however many they can. The more you distill it, the purer it is, the better the flavor, but the more volume you're going to lose, that kind of thing. Well, Tito's goes like with the whiskey route, and they use copper stills.
Oh yeah, we talked about this, and I
Yeah.
said, "Can you taste the copper in the Tito's?" You said no.
No, it's supposed to help with the separations of certain things
Yeah.
during the distilling process.
And then we talked about, I think that led to a conversation of who would win, and like between like
Yeah,
a battle between the
like it was meth heads and moonshiners.
yes, meth heads and moonshiners.
Yeah, I totally remember that. Meth heads and moonshiners.
Yeah, over the copper still.
Oh, God, that sounds like a great, like, either like a funny, like comedy sitcom, meth heads and moonshiners, or it would be a funny as hell like real life TV competition show.
Oh my god, I don't know if we could do that
Yeah, meth heads and moonshiners.
because they're both doing illegal shit.
I know, that's what makes it so great. Like we'd
So
have
you-
to film it and then sit on it for 5 years till they disappear wherever they scamper off to, and then you drop it,
Right.
and then everyone will want season 2 and be like, all right, well, here's the problem. We don't know where any of these people are.
Yeah.
Pretty sure a couple of them have died.
You have to wait until the statute of limitations is up on any crimes that you film.
Yeah. What's the? We need to get with a lawyer. What's the statute of limitations on buying and selling meth and also moonshining? We're curious. We got a TV show idea.
That's right. And murder, just in case that happens.
Yeah. Well.
Well, it depends on what country, I think, at that point.
Hey, that's right. We could just go to another country
That's right.
where
Yeah.
it's not illegal.
Where everything is legal. Denmark, here we come.
Denmark.
They've got creeks in Denmark, I'm sure. We can put some stills up there.
Get like 5 to 6 moonshiners and somehow trick 5 to 6 meth heads to go.
All paid vacation to Denmark. Come
Yeah.
on.
Like, you're gonna get all the drugs and alcohol you want. Like, man,
Yeah.
buddy, you had me at Denmark.
Yeah. Yeah. You had me at foreign pussy.
Yeah. Now, the only true thing that I would love to see is if they feud, if they would battle between the two groups, or if one side would give in to the other. And the next thing you know, next thing you know, we just have a bunch of meth head moonshiners.
Oh man.
And they're scattered like cockroaches all over Denmark now. Like it just becomes
the invasive species of meth head moonshiners.
And then we get thrown in federal Denmark prison.
Yeah.
Until they catch them all.
Yeah, we get extradited back to Denmark. Like, no, you have to pay for these crimes. Well, that leads perfectly into what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So earlier today, I asked Alex to Google image some photographs, the earliest known photographs of cities, big metropolis cities around the world. And Alex has done that.
Yep.
And is there any type of correlation or common thing that you see in the photographs that you Google image searched, besides the fact that they're black and white?
Yeah. Well, at first, it was creeping me out that there wasn't any people in any of these photos. That was the number one thing. Like, if you Google search oldest known photograph cities around the world, like the first 5 of them, I was like looking at the architecture and looking at that, and then I go, where the fuck are all the people?
Exactly.
And then I'm like, this, and like the more you look at it, and you go to the next one, you're like, all right, this is getting creepy. Then you start looking in windows and like, is there not anyone anywhere? Like, are we in the Matrix? Like, it was. And then I actually stumbled across, I think Dublin. There was like 4 or 5 people standing out in front of
a church.
Yeah. And you know, they could have been dummies just put there. You don't know if they're real or not, but yeah, the rest of them still, like, you might see a little head pop up here and there. Actually, there's one in Paris where a guy's like standing on a corner with his foot up. I still got to pull it up here. A couple horse-drawn carriages. That was kind of the main thing that first caught my eye. Second was the architecture is like identical.
The architecture is incredible.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, but it's very, I feel like I'm going to sound like a fucking art snob, but I was like, it's very rudimentary. It's just basic, like square buildings. Now, granted, depending on where they're at, they might have a little different flair on the top of their buildings, like on their chimney stacks or the slope of their roofs, or you know, that kind of thing. Some are like a little bit flatter, some are more steep, some go at a higher point, but there was nothing like extravagance except for like a couple churches, you know, because that's where they put all their work at.
So this is the conspiracy that I came across.
Ooh, okay.
If you look at the churches and a lot of the main government buildings that are in these photographs,
yeah,
the architecture in these are some people claim that the architecture in these buildings that were built prior to the 1840s, because you're looking at pictures from the 1840s that are, and that these buildings are already standing there, right?
Right.
So they must have been built before then. So in the early 1800s, late 1700s, a lot of the first power drills weren't the first power tools, period, weren't even invented until the mid 1900s.
Correct.
So that means that people who only had horse-drawn carriages, who were driving horse-drawn carriages on dirt roads, couldn't even make asphalt roads. Most of these cities built and created some of the most intricate and architecturally creative designs that most people today say that we couldn't even do with the power tools that we have today. But they did them with a hammer and chisel, basically, over 200 years ago.
Yeah.
And in record time, too, because a lot of the history of these buildings, like, for example, Penn Station in New York City, okay?
Yeah.
So, architects today say that it would take about 20 years with the tools and shit that we have today to build Penn Station if we could even physically get it done. And they supposedly did it in like 6 years.
Damn.
And it's the same with a lot of these buildings. There's some buildings in UK, in England, that are like massive and like crazy architecturally, and they're like, oh yeah, that was built in like 6 months. I'm like, what? In the 1700s that was built in 6 months? Are you shitting me? With no tools, with like like the bare minimum of tools. So and the other point that I was trying to get you to notice in the pictures, which is the very first thing that you caught onto, was the lack of people.
Yeah.
So, like, if you look at what the population of, like, let's say St. Petersburg in Russia is supposedly in 1840, when the first picture of St. Petersburg was, somewhere around there. It says the total population of the city was like 500,000. But if you look at the picture, it looks like this massive metropolis, almost exactly like it does today, that holds like 3 or 4 million people.
Yeah.
And you look at the streets, and there's no people anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you start going through all these different cities from that time frame, and they all have massive metropolises which would hold a million or more people, and there's no people anywhere. If you do see them, you see maybe a handful. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
What happened in the early 1800s? Where did all the people go?
Where did all the people go? Is this going into a Mandela effect?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, honestly.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of this is the other crazy thing about society at this time frame was orphans.
Yeah.
You had millions and millions of orphans, where some of the largest structures in cities were massive orphanages.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are all the parents at?
I mean, maybe people still weren't living as long as they do today. I mean, it could be as simple as that, because, like, I remember reading a thing about the average, like, bringing it back to soberless thoughts. Yay. But, like, the average person drank an insane amount of, like, liquor, even at like the 1900s. Like, it was something crazy. Like, the average person drank like a barrel of, like, almost like a barrel of, like, 50 gallons of whiskey a month.
Jesus Christ.
And I think we even talked about, okay, but no, all right. So this was like 1800s when Americans drank whiskey like water. And I mean, they, like, it was something crazy where it was like, yeah, no wonder people were dying. So there was a book called The Last Call, The Rise and Fall of Prohibition, where they had a political function. The governor of New York from 1777 to 1794 once honored the French ambassador with a dinner for 120 guests, who together drank 135 bottles of Mandaria, 36 bottles of port, 60 bottles of English beer, and 30 large cups of rum punch.
Sounds like a good party.
I know, right? But there was, like,
even they had rum punch.
Yeah, right. I know, right? But I mean, it was something like, it was almost one of those things that was like, you almost couldn't wrap your brain around it. Like, people drank.
Everybody was Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes. See, that doesn't seem like a lot. Actually, the more I think about it, it says by the 1830s, alcohol consumption reached its peak at a truly outlandish 7 gallons of ethanol a year per capita. So
Per person? Does per capita mean per person?
yes. Well, let's do the math. Oh shit, where's my phone? So a gallon. A fifth is 1/5 of a gallon. All right. So 35 fifths in a year. So
35 fifths of, I mean, right here. Here's a fifth of bourbon.
yeah.
Like 35 of these in a year?
Yes.
That's doable.
Yeah, it's doable, but like,
If I drank every day, I could easily drink that.
all right, here's a little tagline after I was sent. So, in modern terms, the 7 gallons are equivalent of 1.7 bottles of standard 80 proof liquor per person per week. Nearly 90 bottles a year for every adult in the nation. So that's different. So okay, I was saying a fifth of that. So there, maybe we're off on that. So basically, in 1 week, you've got to drink essentially 2 bottles of liquor a week.
Okay.
So you either got to have 4 hellish days and then, in 3 days to recover, or what I'm assuming is what actually happened is they just boom, 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 and just drank,
Every day. It was just a little bit every day.
Yeah, it was just enough to keep you going.
Yeah.
Um,
You
I mean,
wake
this
up
is-
in the morning and you got to get another one just to get you out of bed.
Yeah, basically. But like I said, this was Americans, but I guarantee you it was. I think that's also what led to the prohibition. But you got to think like the world was probably drinking that way, especially like high drinking countries, like European countries, Russia. They're known for their vodka.
Yeah.
Eventually, that kind of stuff will, especially if you're drinking that much all the time, since you were probably, I mean, let's be honest, they treated a 15-year-old like a man back then.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're still at your parents' house, you lazy sack of shit. You should already be married with kids and have a farm plowing the fields.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Like, look at this. Like, look at Tom over here. Look at Timmy. He's got all that and then some.
Yeah. If only you could be more like Timmy.
Yeah. Damn it. Damn it, Jebediah. But like, yeah, but it just proves like that, they could have died off early because of that, or they just couldn't, the hardships of parenthood, I guess. I don't know. It's weird you said the thing about the orphanage. It resonated a story that my grandmother told me one time that it's not funny, but it is what it is. It basically, essentially, my great grandfather was, she said he was out in the field, working the field. His father, who was a drunk, pulled up in a wagon with all his brothers and sisters in the back of it. And him being the oldest, my great-great-grandfather looked at him and goes, "Hey, I'm taking all these kids to the orphanage. You want to go?"
Holy shit.
And he goes, "No." He goes, "Okay, then." And he drove all his brothers and sisters to the orphanage. And then my great-grandfather had to go find his way. And then he basically got with some people that took him in. And then essentially they just treated him like a servant, is the way I've heard it described. And they just like ran it like, they made, he knew he was going to have to like work his way, like, keep his own. And by the way, he was like 12. Like he wasn't like a teenager.
Holy
Like
shit.
he was just happens to be the oldest one. And I think the story goes, maybe it's like 10, because it would have been weirder if it was a little bit older. But he stayed at these people's house, and this is the real fucked up part. He stayed at these people's house, and this woman was like obsessed with like, if you wet the bed, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah,
and-
because that's how you correct that situation.
Yeah, and it freaked him out so bad that he accidentally, because that's all he would think about when he's going to sleep at night, is he
Yeah.
actually wet the bed, and she beat the shit out of him for it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, fuck her, but, you know, I say that, but at the same time, what I'm about to say is kind of fucked up in the same sentence, because I'm like, hey, why are you going to do that to a kid? But apparently her and her husband were fucked in the head anyway. And her husband ended up killing her and hanging himself in the barn. And then my great-grandfather found them and then had to leave after, you know, that was cleared up, and then found some people. And then they're the ones that actually ran him in the ground. Just you're going to basically do whatever we say for room and board till he could leave.
You know, he should have been a hobo on the railroad.
Should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot more glamorous, I guarantee you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
honestly, probably a lot better society.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Those hobos are some pretty nice people.
I agree.
But yeah, so that was, I think it was my grandfather's father who did all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was the same guy that I don't know if this is true, but I know one of them. I think it was him. He actually had mental issues. Go figure. After all that fucking trauma,
Yeah, no wonder.
he actually had to go for routine trips up to like a hospital, go get electroshock therapy.
Mm.
And my mom was I remember my mom telling me like, yeah, I remember going with him and him going there, and for whatever reason that did help to do something, like stimulate his brain to kind of get it to like wind down or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So orphanages was definitely a little bit more of a like, now it would be a whole thing.
Yeah. Dude, so we didn't even get into what I think is actually going on here.
No, you're good. We just got off on that part where I was like, you just sparked a memory of like, oh my God, I remember being told the story. Because it's
Yeah.
like you hear the story as a kid, you're like, holy shit, that happened, Grandma?
Yeah.
Yes. That it could happen to you too. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? No.
Yeah. That's your lineage, dear Alex.
Yeah, I know. And it makes me look in the mirror and goes, it makes sense.
Yeah. Send me off to the orphanage.
Yeah, I know. That's the part that creeps me out, is going to the orphanage. You want to go? No. Okay. And off where he goes.
I wonder
Like,
if
what
they.
a wild thing to say to somebody.
I wonder if they got like money for kids, like if they paid them for their children. Like if he was hard up
I
on
honestly
cash,
think it was something.
like back
Yeah.
then, if you're hard up on cash, we're like, well, we will take
I mean, have
your
you
kids.
seen the famous photo of the woman selling her kids?
No.
Sorry, our connection kind of got screwy for a second. Yeah. Apparently my internet's unstable. But yeah, there's like a famous photo, you can look it up, where a woman is like, it was like during the Depression, and you could just tell she's like ashamed of herself, and she's hiding her face, and there's like 2 or 3 kids on a stoop, and it says like, you know, kids for money or something, like she's selling her kids because she can't take care of them anymore.
Jesus.
Like there's no money, no food.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like, buy my kids, they'll be your servants.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Living in the shadows where the lonely people go, trying to find my way back to the man I used to know. Feeling that sunshine superstition, trying to raise up my soul condition. I ain't gonna waste no more time, no more. I've been lost, I've been found, slipped off track, it's coming around. I'm messed up, face down on the floor. I've been down, I ain't down no more. I ain't looking back on miles ahead. I ain't worried about what ain't here I've been lost, I've been found, slipped off track, it's coming around. All messed up, face down on the floor. I've been down, I ain't down no more. I've been lost, I've been found, slipped off track, it's coming around. All messed up, face down on the floor. I've been down, I ain't down no more. I've been down, I ain't down no more.
So here's what I think is happening in these pictures that we're looking at, the first photography pictures. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that in somewhere between 1800 and 1820, there was an alien invasion.
Ooh.
And the aliens came in and they completely wiped out what was currently around in humanity. And we actually had a far more advanced society than what we think of as far as what human society was by the 1800s.
So we got Atlantis. Atlantis. Duh.
Yeah, we got Atlantis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think our society, so we talk about ancient societies on this show a lot, right?
Yeah. Right.
So I think maybe the ancient, highly technically savvy societies that we think about in ancient times could have not even been ancient times. It could have been as recently as 200 years ago.
Yeah.
And 200 years ago, this alien force came in, completely wiped out humanity, and then the stragglers that were left, only a couple million people worldwide that were left, were all indoctrinated, and they were like, okay, this is what's basically like 1984 to them. Like, this is the society that it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. We're going to rewrite history. Everything that we're going to do, we're going to rewrite. We're going to redo everything. And you're just going to completely follow this game plan from here on out. And this is it. And we are in control now. And we are basically, so now they're like we talk about the New World Order, the Illuminati. It's actually the fucking aliens that came over and conquered our planet back in the early 1800s. And they're ever since then, they've just been running the show behind the scenes.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's why there's no people in those pictures, because we hadn't repopulated yet.
Ah, okay.
With the new rewritten history.
Yeah.
Because they had to wipe out so many people.
Do you think, I'll tell you one thing that I always thought was interesting. What if, all right, let's say that happens.
Yeah.
And we get conquered by a race of alien people. Then let's say they're like, all right, we'll be back to check on you routinely. And honestly, they're like, and honestly, we're going to come back and thin the herd out because you all are like rabbits over here. But like, what if like something happened and they got like into like an intergalactic battle with somewhere else and they forgot about us? And that's why we were like at the point we're at now then. Like overpopulated, over using resources, we're just dwindling everything down.
Maybe. And then they came back and they're like, look at you guys.
Fuck?
Look at you guys.
Yeah. We leave for like 2 extra 100 years.
Yeah. Hey, remember, we're supposed to control everything. So let's start talking about overpopulation and let's throw a virus in the mix. Let's start killing people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that could be.
Yeah. No, you're right. No, totally. That would make total sense for them. They're like, hey, let's use the word 19. Like, why not?
Yeah.
It's my favorite number.
Right. Because we started here in the 18s, right? So now it's the 19s.
Oh, I'm gonna give you a golf clap on that one. That was good. Because we missed the 19th, and we don't want to skip numbers.
Right. Exactly.
Ah, damn it, that was good.
Yeah, man. I think it's a good theory.
Yeah.
The only other option for what's going on there is flat Earth, and I don't want to go there.
Yeah. That's just crazy. It'll take 3 hours of me explaining to tell you why flat Earth is a reason for that. That's a whole nother podcast. Oh God, no, but I like the alien thing. It's very intriguing. Where I'm like,
yeah,
it's making me think. Like, first I have to sit here and think, all right, why wouldn't they be outside? Was it the time of day? Are they all still? They can't all be farmers, but they obviously, I don't know. I believe at least they had a better work ethic than we do today.
Well, if you look at the okay, so I've looked at that too. If you look at the pictures and how the fucking sun works, right? So
I've seen it once or twice.
Right. So you know how shadows work.
Correct.
And a lot of these pictures, so if you look at the shadows, you'll find like a light pole or something like that.
Yep, I'm looking at one now.
And then you look at the shadow. If it's a long shadow, then that means it's either early morning or late in the day.
True.
If it's a short shadow, that means it's close to the noon.
Yep, correct.
And a lot of these pictures have short shadows, which means that it's close to the noon and there's still nobody out on the streets.
I mean, it could be like, I've heard this. I don't know for sure. Which I got to tell you, if you go back and look at the pictures, I got to tell you to look at one of them. Paris from 1838.
Yeah.
There's some weird shadows on that where, like, they all seem like the light source is coming from right to left. So all the shadows are like hitting at a like diagonal, like bottom out to the left, but there's a couple that are like going towards the right, and I'm like, how in the fuck does that even work? Like, how do you have a shadow? Like, what's that the shadow of that's making that shadow? But anyway, but yeah, that is a good point. Every single one of these I'm looking at, there are no shadows that are elongated. And Berlin 1840 they had a little bit of shadows. I mean, they were taller buildings, but they weren't crazy. I mean, maybe it was lunchtime, and where I was going with that, it was like in Barcelona, like Spain, like they legitimately have siesta. Like, I think it was Barcelona, or maybe it was somewhere else that was like, I remember talking in like one of my Spanish classes, and they're like, yeah, literally, like lunch happens at 12, and they give you an hour after lunch to like take a nap to regroup, because they understand that, like, you ever remember that in like high school or whatever, like you go to like pizza day and you eat a shit ton of pizza and you go back to class and you're like having so much trouble trying to stay awake.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, I'm good. All right. What? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the
Mr.
coast?
Corley, pay attention in the class.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I just bet I couldn't eat 5 pieces of pizza. All right. I'm dying over here.
Right.
Yeah. But that's why. So, because they know that like you need time to like digestion, which is one reason I always kind of like Europe for that reason, because they do it. I feel like the French take like a 2-hour window of a lunch, from what my brother has told me, because he's traveled there quite a bit. But he's just like, yeah, you need it, because he's like, dude, I get so hammered on so much wine at lunch, I can't focus.
Yeah, but you see these same pictures at the same time frame of like New York City and San Francisco, and they're in the United States, and it's the same thing. You see hardly any people. Like, you see hardly no people in New York City.
I mean, that's true. You also got to think, though, these people lived very similar to people in Europe, because a lot of them are coming over from there and they're bringing their traditions and whatever. But that is still a good point. You are in some of the I guarantee you, not everyone lives that life, you know,
Right.
Like people are getting shit done. I mean, me personally, at my one of my last jobs, when I worked in like a warehouse, everyone else would take lunch at 12, and I kind of had run of the mill of when I got to take lunch. I would wait till after everyone got back, because I could use all the equipment they were using without getting in their way for the hour at lunch. So like forklifts and scissor lifts and all that other crap that I would have to share. And then I would get all my crap done at lunch. Then I could go take a long ass lunch and come back and then finish out whatever else I was doing. I was that guy.
So here's another aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's the guy in the United Kingdom who is like a 30-year-old gardener who designed, no education background, was a gardener, and he designed like all of the largest, most intricately designed buildings in the United Kingdom. Supposedly he's the one who designed all of them, like royal palaces and all this shit.
Awesome.
And he was just one dude who was like just a gardener who was like, oh yeah, I could probably design that, and designed all this shit
Yeah.
in like a matter of 10 years.
One, that sounds awesome. Like, he had to been like a next level genius that someone just saw, or aliens. But
Or
Yeah.
a lost technology that we had before the alien attack, and then after the aliens attacked and came down and they rewrote history, they got lazy and they're like, well, we'll just attribute all of these buildings to this one random gardener guy who we don't even know if he really exists or not.
So you think all the major political, government, and royal buildings are alien substations, I guess.
I think they were buildings from a prior civilization technology that we had
Oh.
leading up to the 1800s. Okay.
Yeah.
And we had amassed technology building up to that point, probably surpassing where we are now.
Yeah.
And it could have been in a completely different form, though, too. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the aliens attack in 1812, let's say. Okay.
Yep.
Aliens attack in 1812. They wipe out, let's say, 75 to 80% of humanity on the globe. Who was left are basically like, okay, if you want to live, you have to be under our rule and you have to do what we say, and we're going to basically infiltrate and rewrite history as we know it.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you our technology piece by piece throughout the years, and you're going to, instead of using your technology that you had already amassed throughout the years prior, you're going to now be reliant on our technology, which is gadgetry.
Nice.
And what we had beforehand could have been anything. Some people think that there was like water, like we had a lot to do with, because this is a water planet, really.
Yeah.
Like 90% of this planet is water. So a lot of people think that if this is true, that the technology that we had before all this happened was water based, and that we basically ran electricity through water and like all this other shit. Like we had our entire city grids that we have. If you if you look at the city grid for, let's say, Denmark, because we were talking about Denmark earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like a microchip or something. It looks like an electric grid is what it looks like from the air. Like if you look at the way that the city's structured.
Yeah.
And it has like waterways that go throughout the entire city. So if the city was run on electric through the water, that's how it would be done, because water literally ran through the entire city.
So you're saying, which I like that, because it makes me think more of an Avatar kind of thing, of like maybe they could even use the city as a giant computer chip, as being binary sequences, kind of like Avatar, where they had like the soul tree that's connected all over the world. And the world essentially is a giant, like all those little things are like little neuroreceptors that become like an entire brain of the earth or whatever it was. But like that could be like an industrialized version of that.
Yeah. Basically what I'm saying is, in 1811, the entire world was highly advanced steampunks.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then all these massive buildings that had some they had electricity from the ionosphere that would come down, and it would be projected through water, and they could deviate what the electricity was going to do through massive organs that they had in each one of these massive buildings that we now call churches. But back then, they weren't churches. They were electric power grids. Okay. And the steeples were actually collecting electricity from the ionosphere. It would come down in through the building, and they could diverge it in different ways through the massive organs that were in the built into the walls of the church, and they would play different notes on the organ, and it would send out electricity in different ways and different areas throughout the city through the electrified water that was run throughout the city.
That's intricate.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And the aliens came down a year later in 1812 and knocked all that shit out.
And they're like, hey, what are you doing? Quit
They
that.
said, no, we're going to rewrite history and say that these weren't power stations. These were actually things that we call churches.
What if they wait? Like, so one of the things I'm having, like, all right, I just thought of, like, is the reasoning for resetting civilization, but then it hit me like, what if they came here to steal the technology?
They could have stole our technology, even as advanced as it could have been back then, could have still been super primitive to them.
Yeah, but what if we were onto something that they themselves didn't think of? They're like,
Oh, yeah.
they're like, you're onto something.
Yeah.
You're not quite there yet. So you know what? We're gonna take it and
Yeah.
we're gonna work on it because we're gonna do it tenfold, and then you all come up with the next great idea.
But I feel like we changed. So say we were doing that, okay?
Yeah.
Say that is all that bullshit was real, okay?
Yeah.
And if that's true, then what we've done since then is we've jumped leaps and fucking bounds in like computer technology
Yeah. Yeah.
since then, okay?
Yeah.
And maybe the aliens were like, we're gonna take this technology, like you said, but we're gonna give you piece by piece by piece this computer technology that we use. Because you guys are using the Earth, using your planet as your
Yeah.
technology, right? Because that's what you're doing. If you're getting electricity from the ionosphere and using water to transport it and all that kind of shit, we're
Mhm.
basically just living off the Earth 10 times fold, right? So they're like, you can't do that anymore, but we're going to give you quote unquote man-made shit like computers, and that's what you're going to run your shit off of now,
Yes.
because it's completely different. It's a polar opposite to what that would be.
Can I tell you something? This isn't as great as I thought. I saw the first number. I got real excited. Is I was looking into the Industrial Revolution. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
And it happened between 1760 and 1820 to 1840.
So right in that time frame.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was like, so that was the boom. And then, you know, if right around then, you know, we were onto something. Because, yeah, that also makes you go, what made it stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. What made it stop? You would think with technology, it would keep going.
Oh yeah. It would just continue to go, because that's what scientists say today, right?
Yeah.
They say, well, our technology has jumped from here to here over the last 10 years. That means it's going to jump from here to there the next 20 years, you know?
Oh, if you look at one of those graphs that starts off like it starts off like very low to the bar, and then it just all of a sudden just swoops and goes straight up.
Yeah.
Like a ramp, like boom, almost like vertical. And you're like,
Yeah. And they all are in agreement that it's going to continue to trend that way.
yeah, oh yeah.
Right. So why wouldn't the Industrial Revolution have continued to trend like that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because an alien race came in.
And made us stop that shit.
Right. Yeah. They stopped us right there. In the
Yeah.
1820, whatever you just said.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the end of it.
Yeah, it was done.
Yeah.
That's and the best other thing is like I was sitting there thinking like, what about wars and stuff? And I was like, man, like world wars didn't start till the 1900s, and then there was like, there was the Revolutionary War, which I don't know exactly what day that was, but the War of 18
Revolutionary War was in the middle of 1700s, and then the War 1812.
I was to say 1814.
So that's still way before.
Yeah.
I can't think of any major wars in the late 1700s, early 1800s.
Because we've already been diminished, and we got to like repopulate.
Yeah.
I like that. That's fun.
I went left, I should've went right. I learned the hard way. I went up, I should've went down. I learned the hard way. I stayed in, should've put out. I learned that hard way. My head, my heart, I learned the hard way. It's out, my fault. I learned the Up and down life's dirty road. I'm dodging heartache. Everywhere I go, I only see the debris from my mistakes. I've been up and down this road so long, tired of this highway. My head, my heart, they learn the hard way. It's out, my fault. I learned the
It's funny because I was reaching for the Industrial Revolution. I'm like, this is either gonna disprove or prove, and I'm like, ah, damn it, I think that helped it. But I liked that. So what was funny is when you first brought up the public buildings and the churches, I noticed they all had steeples and like things that were pointing upwards, and I was sitting there going, holy shit, you're gonna tell me that they made them to look like spaceships. Because they're all like tall, lanky, pointy, which totally. Also about the architecture, I also feel like people were better at stuff like that back then.
Yeah, but you couldn't do it as quickly as they say that you could do it. And with the primitive tools that they had back then. Like, I can't see how they would do it, even begin to do it. And on top of that, like, if you, so like, for example, the Capitol building in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. It has like,
Oh, the obelisk or whatever it is.
no, it has 3 levels of basement to it. Did you know that?
I did not.
Now, it was built in the late 1700s. And they built 3 levels of basement to it in the with shovels. That's all they had to use was fucking shovels.
Did they have dynamite back then?
No, they didn't have dynamite back then. They had shovels, dude.
They had gunpowder.
Yeah, they had black powder.
Yeah. Damn, you're right. Yeah, I don't think dynamite was invented till 1867.
Yeah.
Something along those. That might not be right, but yeah, it's close enough. Damn. Yeah, black powder. So damn. Okay. You got me.
Right.
Keep reeling me in.
Yeah. So, and they didn't even, a lot of people didn't even know that it was that deep until they did renovations in like the early 2000s. And it was like 2003 or 2004. They dug out the entire front end of the Capitol building.
Yeah.
And the structure goes all the way down 3 stories. That's how deep it goes.
Maybe they were building a fucking bunker for the next alien invasion. Like, all right.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and another weird thing about that is, if you look at pictures of that, there's like columns. Like, they built columns and like doorways and shit in there. Like, I don't know, dude. It's weird fucking shit, man.
That is wild. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah. And it's all underground now. And then once they like dug all that down and they seen all that, they filled that shit right back up with dirt and fucking put a giant ass like carport right over top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we do.
Yeah. They're like, no one saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make it a parking lot.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Yeah, man. That's my best over like, so I saw all this stuff in a video I watched like maybe 2 weeks ago. And for the last 2 weeks, I've been pondering over this shit. Like, what could be the answer to this?
Yeah.
That's the best answer I can come up with is alien invasion, man.
I like it. No, I do. It's one of those things that we're onto something. They're like, you're ahead of yourself. Tone it back down.
Yeah. Chill out, humans.
Yeah, you have the Tesseract. You need to chill the fuck out. It's wild to actually kind of like just contemplate that a little bit. I also, it's kind of interesting. It's like, it's making me go like, what else? Like, I sit there and try to like think about like, why, what, like, oh no. Just kind of like the alien, like, also it makes me think like, did we have contact with the aliens, or did a select few have, as maybe,
I think it was an all-out war, dude.
you think so? See, I was sitting there thinking it was more of like, they've got like the top leaders, let's call them, I don't know, the Illuminati, and and they got with those leaders to go, this is what's going to happen. You're ridiculously outgunned, and you all have to decide how this is going to go down. And then they have to like decide the fate.
Well, something happened to create a massive depopulation.
I mean, virus is always an award winner for sure.
But only the adults were wiped out? COVID.
Um,
No, I like seriously. So only the adults are wiped out. Millions upon millions of orphans.
yeah. I mean, you never know. Maybe not that many orphans survived it. I mean, it was also, when did TB happen? Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis is still going on.
Yeah, but it was like rampant.
That's a weird question to ask Google. When was tuberculosis rampant?
When was the peak of tuberculosis? Because I mean, I feel like that was around the time of like they would just have tuberculosis hospitals where
Right.
literally you just were sent there like, we'll see you later.
Yeah, it wasn't Waverly Hills a tuberculosis list?
Yeah, that's what made me think of it. But 2018, the world's population was thought to have latent infection of TB. New infection occurs about 1% of the population each year. So whatever 1% of 7 billion.
Okay, the heyday of tuberculosis was from 1895 to 1954.
I was going to say it was discovered in 1882. So
So
Wow.
way
There-
after all this.
yeah, I was going to say there's a weird amount. All right, 1834, somebody coined tuberculosis as a term.
Before that, it was known as consumption.
Yes.
I think so.
There was a bunch of names for it. Theosis in ancient Greece, tables in ancient Rome, Skatheth in ancient, Skatheth in ancient Hebrew. In the 1700s, TB was also called the White Plague due to the paleness of the patient. Consumption, boom, you nailed that one, in the 1800s. So that'd been obviously that's been around a lot longer. So
Yeah.
for some reason you always hear about tuberculosis in the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's when maybe was like, did this shit break out? Is this the swinging sword? Is this the fucking murder weapon of the aliens?
It was the number one cause of death in 460 BC.
Damn. Maybe that was the last time they got there.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll give you this, we'll come back, we'll give you the Black Plague, then we
Yeah.
come back and like,
Yeah. Just massive. Dude, these aliens been fucking with us for a long time.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they probably wiped out the people who built the pyramids.
Yeah, they're too close.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a energy storage facility when that was all covered with water.
Exactly. Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
They
And they
turned
came
it-
in. And that's what the churches were in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It was a modern age steampunk version of the pyramids.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the pyramid had the golden top to it, right? It was
That's right.
Drawing energy from the ionosphere and then spreading out through the city with the water.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the churches in the early 1800s. They had golden or copper, either golden or copper
And yeah, I think they had giant
rods.
cast iron bells up top too.
Yeah,
that-
and they would ring, and the sound, it was the sound that would, and dude, scientists have proven recently that sound has different effects on water.
Yeah.
And like they can actually make water do different things with sound, like move in different directions and do all kinds of crazy shit by just simply playing different tones in front of it.
Hey, I'll tell you some crazy shit to Google. If you get bored or anybody else listening, there is a thing where a guy takes a speaker and he puts like a cloth over top of it and he puts sand on top of the cloth and he just plays like a single tone.
Yeah.
And then he keeps switching tones and you can literally watch the sand organize itself on the cloth in different shapes and patterns.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
to whatever note he's playing.
Yeah. To whatever frequency. It's crazy.
Right. And that's what they think was going on in these churches that were collecting this energy. And they had giant water wells underneath them. And then they had these massive organs. And they would play a note on this massive organ, and it would arrange the water in a certain way that it would electrify the water and shoot it out to whichever direction.
Yeah.
And that's how they ran their electricity.
Nice.
Yeah. Dude, we figured it out.
We did figure it out.
So in 1812,
In 1812.
aliens attacked,
They definitely attacked.
and they switched our technology from water-based earth technology to computer-based technology.
To metal-based
Yeah.
electricity.
Ooh,
That's
exactly.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For more insightful information like this, listen to past episodes of Soberless Thoughts
You damn right.
on soberlessthoughts.com
.com.
or any podcast catcher that there is out there that catches podcasts. Just search Soberless Thoughts.
Yeah.
Where you can find us on social media, Alex?
You can find us on Facebook at Soberless Thoughts. You can also find us on Instagram at Soberless Thoughts. You can also find us on Twitter, but it's not at Soberless Thoughts. It's at Think Soberless. So Think Soberless on Twitter. And then you can always go to our email and Gmail us at soberlessthoughts@gmail.com. If you have got any questions, quotes, or just lovely little thoughts and limericks, you can send our way.
God, I love limericks.
Yeah, send us a limerick.
Yeah. Please send us a limerick. I want to read that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Also, if you have any friends who need good drinking and need some drinking buddies. Say you got some friends out there and they died in Iraq.
Damn.
Say you've got some friends out there and they no longer have drinking buddies
Yeah.
for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And they need some new drinking buddies. Well, tell them to listen to Soberless Thoughts.
Yeah, please.
That's how we get. We don't have an advertising budget on this show,
No, not at all.
so it's all word of mouth. So tell your friends about Soberless Thoughts. Tell them to come check it out. We have episodes like this literally all the time. So if you enjoyed this and you know somebody who would also enjoy this, tell them to listen. Soberlessthoughts.com. Alex, what do we say when we get out of here?
We like to say when we get out here, we like to say when you're in the skillet, you need to stay cheesy, keep it greasy, and flip on out.